Hey, coaches, welcome back to Bigs Rule the World. I'm Coach Allen. We're going to be talking today about God's play, power play, run the power. Today, specifically, we're going to get into a little history of how the base power play was devised, how it was run, how it was adapted in the spread offense. And next time, we're going to get into sort of how you can adapt it into your offense. So let's get into it. Talking about the power play. Talking about the power play as it is, I'm going to pull up my notes here to just sort of talk for a moment. Waiting for my notes to roll around. Okay. So talking for a moment here based on power play. Why is the power play an important play in the offense? I think because originally the power play is created to sort of give you a power system of offense. Systems that make a power foundational part of the offense and do it well are often rewarded by this, I think. You get the smash mouth term, you get the downhill term, you get the man ball type term. One of the quotes that my old head coach used, and I actually sort of adapted this when I first became a head coach and used it as a quote in the newspaper, and it was very weird because then I later introduced the air raid to the school I was at. There's something that just breaks a man's soul when you're running off tackle power and he knows what is coming and he can't do anything about it. So why power? I think, inside zone can be physical when it emphasizes double teams with the defensive line. Lead runs like ISO have their value and they make linebackers decide if they have to blow up the block or get the heck out the way. Power usually has both of those features, that feature, that double team block and that lead block in there, at least what we're going to talk about today. And it's meant to drive the defensive line off the point of attack, have a big moment with that kick-out block. And we're going to talk about the features. We're going to talk about the features of power specifically and where it came from with the eye. But you have that driving of force with the double team. You're taking a guy from a place he is and putting him a place where he doesn't want to be. Then you're having that nasty, gritty kick-out block where the end man on the line of scrimmage has to make a decision of what he's going to do. And then you're also having that lead block. And every coach that wants to base their run game around a non-power scheme is always starting by justifying how they can make their run game physical. Okay? We're going to make our run game physical. We're going to get dirty, nasty, and gritty. Well, it all comes down from the fact that power is a dirty, nasty, gritty play. And if you don't put power in as your base run, you're spending this whole time. And I'm not saying you have to put power in as your base run. I think the base run that I had last year was inside zone. But if you don't put power, you're trying to define and get some type of physicality somewhere. And I think the power just defines physicality. Okay, so how do we define power? We define power with 3 parts. We'll get you taking a look at the whiteboard here. Okay, we define power. 3 ways. Number 1, double team. Number 1 is a double team at the point of attack. Okay, we're pushing that man. We're getting 4 hands on lineman, 4 eyes on linebacker to get that man off of his spot. Ba-boom. Number 2, kick out block. On the end man on the line of scrimmage. Okay, so the end man on the line is getting kicked out. Number 3, by the way, guys, it is weird and trippy as all get out to write and see it coming up backwards on Zoom. And then the lead block. Okay. Those are the 3 main tenets of a power-based scheme. Okay. Originally, we're drawn up out of the I formation. But it can be adaptable to all systems. And I think that's what we're going to really get into, especially with our next episode. I'm going to put the 1 there, 3 there. I'm going to give 4-3 look. Got her tied into the game now. So, trying to think how I want to draw this up base, because we do it primarily, I'm going to be honest, I do it primarily out of a, let's put him here. No, little 4-I-3. Okay, we do it primarily out of 10 personnel. So if we're doing this, we have the down blocks going here for your casual double team. Okay, black block by the guard, back block by the center. Okay, you can also, really, if we want to draw it with the fullback, you want back block these guys. Again, I'm not a 11 personnel guy or I personnel guy, but there we go. So we're getting all those down blocks, okay? Now, with the fullback in the game, he's going to pull up and kick out that end man on the line of scrimmage. His backside guard is wrapping, and he's now your lead blocker into the hole. He's going to kick, he's going to fill, and there we go. Okay. Now, what is this defensive end here taught? Basically, he is taught because, you know, most offensive line coaches at some point in life, you've either taught defensive line, coached it, or you've had to teach what the defensive lineman is going to do. So you know if this tight end, if I'm playing head up on this tight end and he dips and rips inside of me and disappears, I'm squeezing right here. We try to teach our guys to wrong arm. So he's trying, this guard is pulling right here. So I went through power before when we talked about our wing T series. This guard is pulling, you know, he's pulling flat down the line of scrimmage, trying to pull right, trap right shoulder. So he's trying to put his right shoulder inside and clear out the hole. So we want this running gap to be right here in C gap right there. Okay, so I'm teaching my defensive end right here. He's going to pull, and I want to meet this pulling guard behind the tackle right here. When we're out of a base personnel where we don't have a tight end, I'm teaching my defensive end to meet him behind the other guard. Blow the play up right there. So what's this fullback going to have to try to do? He's going to have to try to determine if he's going to kick out or if he's going to seal. So I drew it with the kick out. Let's draw the same thing up with the seal. And somebody come by and tell me, okay, boom, boom. Oh, my bad. See, again, you can tell I'm not a tight end personnel guy. So if he gets a seal, okay? So let's say this F right here has to turn and sort of seal him to the inside. Now this bounces and power is no longer a C-gap play. It's almost becoming a short sweep where now this guard has to pull up, seal the linebacker inside right there, and the tailback knows he needs to go here. Okay, the amount of cuts that your tailback can make on this play really determine its versatility. Now, North Dakota State, I'm going to talk real minute, you know, about old school power football. We talk about it like it's an old school play. The most dominant team in FCS football runs power as their base play. It bases their offense on power. when I was doing my research, I saw a creative little wrinkle I want to talk about. So we remember the 3 tenets of power, okay? You know, I've shown you how it was drawn up based out of the eye, but the 3 tenets of power, generally speaking, are double team on the end man, double team at the point of attack, kick out on the end man of the line of scrimmage, lead up through the hole. So Craig Bohl comes to North Dakota State. He's now at Kansas State. And they had 16 1,000-yard rushers in his first 13 seasons. Okay, and he dominates, and North Dakota State dominates FCS, guys. They're the most dominant FCS or FBS program in the country. And I want to ask you this, okay? With the amount of national championships they won, you got to ask yourself something, okay? In the adaptation of the air raid, the power spread, all this type of stuff, North Dakota State has won all these national championships playing in Fargo, freaking North Dakota. I mean, it is so cold you have to go play in the Fargo Dome. Not making fun of the Fargo Dome or anything, but it's not like you could set up a power-based, you know, it's not like he was able to go down to Florida and have a bevy of athletes come down. You're recruiting kids. They're going to freeze their butts off and come to North Dakota to play football. Granted, they play indoors, but I'm going to have to go to class in Fargo, North Dakota. And yet they're still dominating. We're very close down here in Virginia to JMU, which is probably the second, probably would have a ton of national championships if North Dakota State wasn't here. JMU, I honestly think, in the state of Virginia on given years competes with our two. I think they're better. We have 3 FBS programs in the state of Virginia. I'll probably get crap for this. I think they're better than ODU. We have 4 FBS programs. I think they're better than ODU. I think they're better than Liberty. And I think on any given year they can compete with the Power 5 likes of UVA or Virginia Tech. Just depends on the year. They've beaten Virginia Tech before. They got 2 natties, but 1 natty in the time that North Dakota State's been winning. Okay? It's an unbelievable system, guys. I'm going to pull up, I'm going to share screen right here during my research. Found a little clip of them. But it just shows what you can do with those rules. Clicked on mute there for a second. By the way, guys, Football Study Hall, I'm going to give them a free shout out as my computer loads their play. Great article. Great article on God's play. I did a lot of my research with it on. I want to show this wrinkle. Okay. While it loads, there we go. Clip from one of the national title games for North Dakota State. So, we talked about before, as the video loads, double team at the point of attack. Okay, hold on. Of course, it would fast forward through what I wanted. Go back. Okay. Defensive line. You look at Jacksonville State's defense. Okay, as they're getting up, it's about 3:40 is when it starts. This is a 2016 FCS National Championship game, by the way. So, we talked about this before. Kick out on the end man of scrimmage, or kick out on the end man on the line of scrimmage. Double team block at the point of attack. And lead block inside the hole. We're running this right now out of 31 personnel. Gosh, really? It's 32. It's double tight. Yeah. So you could even do a little double. Yeah, 32 personnel right here. So I showed you before where we did it with pulling guard. They're not going to do it with a pulling guard. We don't need no stinking pulling guard. We got double fullbacks, baby. They're running A-gap power. So we're not even screwing with this man on line of scrimmage. And you see 95, the defensive tackle, knows this is coming. It's coming down, and North Dakota State's still going to try to kick him out there to create this tiny little run lane right here. Look how physical that crap is, guys. Look how physical that is. As I hop off to grab my marker real quick. Look how physical that play is. That's A-gap power I want to talk more about with North Dakota State specifically. I'm going to pop off of a screen share and get back to you here. That's A-gap power right there. North Dakota State, man, can get nasty, can get creative with it. 16 1,000-yard rushers in the first 13 seasons. So they can run it in different ways. I actually want to do a video. I got inspired. I want to do like a part 3 on this series, just diving into what North Dakota State does. Now, what has the spread done to adapt power? Well, spread has different limitations, I think, to power. We talked about the 3 rules. I think the thing that I had a tough part of, now, out of 20 personnel, I can do a couple different things, okay? So, out of 20, let's say I want to run power to the weak side right here. Okay? So I want to get the double team right here, boom, boom. Let's give me the 3 over here. Let's say they give me a little underload. Like from this guy. I might try to pull, and I sort of invert the original power play. Make sure we're getting that. And it creates sort of a GT scheme on the backside. GT counter scheme right here. Now we're going to dip and rip, and that creates a read that the quarterback has on the backside defensive end. That's where not having that tight end in creates an issue. We can also still run it this way, I think. You know, I've done it at split backfield before where we're kicking. I still like to kick with the guard first. Just because I think my H-back's a more athletic type guy to make that ability to, I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about it as I draw it up. Okay, so I think my H-back's a more athletic guy to be on that linebacker. So I like to put double team the linebacker. We're going to step inside right there so we get our read on the backside DN. I like to get the guard kicking right there, have the H right there, because I think this block right here is a shoulder block. To go back to our Wing T video series, by the way, go check out our Wing T video series. If you like this type of content, guys, you need to hit subscribe right now. Need to hit subscribe, need to follow us at @football_Allen on Twitter. More great stuff, but that's a shoulder block, kick out block right there. This H is going to have to make a movement based on this linebacker. This linebacker might come up and play him right here, and we got to go big boy on big boy. Or this linebacker might be over here, it might be over here. It requires a little bit more athletic finesse to it. Okay? And that's where that read comes in nicely out of there. Now, how did we adapt it out of 10 personnel? 10 personnel, we create something called the G scheme. So we have to then, now 10 personnel, in my opinion, takes a guy out of the blocking scheme. Okay, we're taking one guy out, but it's also going to take one guy out to have to go out in coverage. Okay, because if you give me a 4-3, you're playing cover 0. I'm going to find the matchup there. So let's say, here we go. We got our G scheme going on now. We sacrificed the lead, but it is okay. And here we go on the power read. You know, West Virginia really did something with that back when they invented, you know, came up with Rich Rod, power read type offense. I also think we did this before. We called it super. Okay. So you can still have that kick. You can still double back if you really want to. You can create. Again, I'm just going to erase it and draw it up again. So let's say I want to run my Q now. Pat White, baby, West Virginia. Let's go. Pat White, Steve Slayton. So now our double team back side right here, we can really, we're doing this, we're going to kick here. This double team is going to present us going to backside backer, not play side backer. Block back, fan out, pull, kick the hard right shoulder. Now my tailback becomes my fullback. Now my quarterback becomes my tailback. And so you're running classic power with 10 personnel. I think that's what's become sort of a tenet of the new power offense is you're running it in different ways with different sets of personnel. And that's what we're going to talk about next time is adaptations off that power. I love the G-Steam. I'm a big G-Steam guy. So we're going to talk about G-Steam a lot. And we're going to talk about plays off of G-Steam that work well. I think power really, you know, I'm a big guy behind. We based our whole offense on running power out of multiple formations when I was at Buckingham. I love power. I'm a big power run play guy. I'm a big block down, kick out guy, whether we're doing it with a fullback or we're doing it with a guard. I think you can just find different ways to adapt to your personnel, just like I talked about with the fullback. I like putting a fullback on linebacker. You might like kicking out with a fullback. When I first became a fan of football and I was rooting for Buckingham when I was in elementary and middle school, they had a 300-pound fullback named Tony Goff who would run like a 4.6 40 and was getting recruited by UNC. He could kick out in man on the line of scrimmage. He's bigger than gosh darn pulling guards. The fullbacks that I had at Chatham probably weighed maybe 140 pounds. I like putting them on linebackers closer to their size. It's all about what type of scheme and personnel you got. So next time, we're going to talk about adaptations to the power scheme and how you can run it based out of what your base offense is. Because I don't want you to see the power play and go, oh, gosh, I got to throw that in. I got to scrap what I'm doing and throw all that in. No, you can adapt it to what you got going on. So next time, we're going to talk about power game run adaptations. Until then, coaches, remember, when you want to win games, you got to score points. If you want to score points, you got to dominate in the trenches. And to do that, you got to know the big rule of the world. I'll see you next time, coaches. Peace out and run God's play.